Vera Michael pushed through the glass doors of Daily Bean Cafe and Diner at 6 a.m. sharp, a soft smile already on her face. She tied on her cinnamon brown apron, smoothed the stray threads, and greeted the first co-worker she saw. "Morning, Leo. Fresh muffins smell amazing today." Leo, the baker, chuckled. "Only because you keep telling the batter happy stories, Vera." Across the counter, Ruby Raymond rolled her eyes. She flicked a few braids off her shoulder, then jabbed at the touchscreen register as though it were personally to blame for the early hour. "Can we please skip the rainbow and sunshine routine? Some of us need coffee before compliments." Vera laughed lightly, unaffected. "Coffee first, compliments later," she agreed, and poured Ruby a steaming cup before beginning her section prep. Wiping tables, checking sugar jars, aligning silverware like a practice pianist arranging sheet music. Morning rush. By 7 a.m., the cafe pulsed with city energy, clacking heels, buzzing phones, and the hiss of espresso steam. Customers favored Vera's section because she remembered details. Mr. E's only drank chai when it rained. Ms. Kanu disliked foam on her cappuccino. The IT twins preferred their pastries warm for exactly 8 seconds. Miracle memory, one regular whispered to another as Vera placed a breakfast sandwich. "Oh, she's just showing off," Ruby muttered under her breath, loud enough for Vera to hear. Vera bent to refill water glasses at table 5. "I'm not showing off. People feel seen when we remember small things. Everyone deserves that." Ruby snorted. "In this city? People deserve what they can't afford." Before Vera could reply, Mr. Edwards, the cafe manager, emerged from his office. His tie was razor straight, his face set in numbers first seriousness. "Team, remember the monthly review is next Monday," he announced. "Customer satisfaction scores decide who keeps their shifts. Efficiency beats sympathy, understood?" Ruby saluted sarcastically. Vera simply nodded, then resumed clearing plates. Afternoon lull. At 3 p.m., a lull settled in. Rain began tapping on the windows, turning the bustling district outside into a canvas of gray streaks and neon reflections. Ruby leaned against the counter, scrolling through social media. "Look at these influencers eating gold-coated cake in Dubai. Meanwhile, we're here handing out discount muffins." Vera rinsed a coffee jug. "I'd rather hand out something real than post something fake." Ruby's lips curled, spoken like someone who'll never taste real success. Just then the bell above the door jingled. A tall, thin man shuffled inside, rainwater dripping from his torn hoodie. His cheeks were sunken, beard untrimmed, shoes held together by tape. He lingered near the entrance, unsure if he belonged. Ruby crossed her arms. "Wrong place, Grandpa. Shelter's 2 blocks down." The man touched the brim of an imaginary hat. "Apologies, miss. Just need somewhere dry for a minute." "Dry costs money," Ruby snapped. "Either order or move on." Vera dried her hands and stepped forward. "Hello, sir. I'm Vera. You're welcome to sit while the rain slows." She guided him to a corner table near the heater. "Can I get you something warm? Tea? Coffee?" He hesitated. "I don't have coins to spare." "It's okay," Vera said softly. "We have leftover red velvet cake from the lunch rush. May I bring you a slice?" His eyes glistened, part shame, part gratitude. "Thank you. You just fed more than my stomach." The red velvet moment. Vera returned with a generous slice, crimson against cream frosting, set on the cafe's best china because dignity, she believed, was served on porcelain, not paper. As he tasted the first forkful, tears welled. "I've not had cake since my wife's last birthday." He swallowed hard. She loved red velvet. Vera sat opposite him for a moment, technically against policy, but the floor was quiet. "Tell me about her." Her name was Ada. She said cake reminds people that life can still be sweet. He chuckled weakly. "Funny, right?" "Beautiful," Vera answered. Across the room, Ruby hissed. "Vera, personal break is over. Table 2 needs napkins." Mr. Edwards appeared beside Ruby, eyebrow arched. "Miss Michael, why is an unpaid individual eating inventory?" Vera rose. "He was hungry, sir. The slice was unsold, end-of-day stock. Unsold still means cost. Cost affects profit. Profit affects your paycheck, Edwards said. I understand, Vera replied. If kindness costs me something, I'm willing to pay. Ruby folded her arms triumphantly. Told you. Edwards sighed. We'll discuss deductions later. For now, back to stations. Ripple effects. Rain eased into a gentle drizzle. The stranger finished the cake, leaving crumbs like ruby dust. He stood, shoulders straighter than when he'd entered. I never caught your last name, Vera said. Clark, he replied. Bennett Clark. He reached into his ragged coat and produced an old business card. Edges frayed, ink faded, then scribbled a number on the back. If you ever need anything, call. And his gaze flicked to Ruby and Mr. Edwards, busy at the counter. Thank you for proving compassion still exists. Vera accepted the card with two careful hands, as though it were fragile glass. Stay dry out there, Mr. Clark. He smiled and slipped into the misty street, disappearing among umbrellas. Tension boils. Ruby tossed a dishcloth into the sink. Congratulations on your charity stunt. Hope it buys you a halo. It wasn't a stunt, Vera answered quietly. Whatever helps you sleep. Some of us are awake enough to know the world doesn't hand out miracles. Vera tucked Bennett's card into her apron pocket. Sometimes we create miracles with small choices. Ruby scoffed. One free cake slice won't change this city, sweetheart. Vera glanced toward the door Bennett had just walked through. Rainlight shimmered on the threshold like a promise. Maybe not the city, but maybe someone's day. And that's a start. Mr. Edwards cleared his throat. End of shift tasks, ladies. Closing time. The sky dimmed to indigo. Leo boxed surplus pastries for donation. Vera swept crumbs from seats, her motions steady despite the long day. Ruby counted tips, eyebrows knitting in disappointment. Only 11,000 naira in my jar, Ruby muttered. Yours. Vera peeked in her jar, stuffed with folded bills. I guess people appreciated extra sugar packets. Ruby slammed her jar onto the counter. They tip you because you flirt. I don't flirt, Vera said, surprised. I listen. Ruby opened her mouth, but stopped. Perhaps there was nothing more infuriating than sincerity that didn't crack. A quiet reflection. Lockup complete. Lights dimmed. Vera finally untied her apron. As she exited, wind carried the scent of wet asphalt mixed with brewed coffee. She thought of Bennett Clark, the way he straightened when someone treated him like more than a statistic. She whispered into the night, Cake can't solve everything, but kindness can start something. Behind her, Ruby watched from the window, arms still crossed, but her expression softer, troubled. Raindrops traced slow paths down the glass like unanswered questions. Rain had come and gone twice since the night of the red velvet cake. Each evening afterward, Bennett Clark appeared on the far curb opposite Daily Bean Cafe and Diner. Always 2 steps back from the crowd, hat low, a quiet observer of closing time. The first evening, Vera noticed the silhouette in the street lamp's glow. Still out here, Mr. Clark? She asked, shrugging on her coat. He gave a small nod. Evening air keeps the mind clear. Without fuss, she passed him a paper bag. Leftover donuts, fresh this morning. Bennett opened the bag, inhaled as if it were a bouquet. Your kindness is louder than traffic, Miss Vera. She laughed. Eat before the glaze turns to glue. Routine of quiet kindness. Days folded into a gentle pattern. Monday, 2 almond croissants. Wednesday, 3 cheese buns. Friday, a quarter tray of cinnamon twists Vera saved from a bin. Their conversations were snapshots, never enough to develop a full picture, yet vivid all the same. One drizzly evening Bennett asked, Why do you work so late every day? Saving for nursing school, she said, tying the bag. Tuition doesn't care if you're tired. He touched the brim of his cap. Dreams worth chasing always outrun sleep. Another night, Vera asked, Where do you go after here? Places, he replied. Some are roofs. Some are only ceilings the sky makes. She didn't pry. His answers were riddles she respected. Ruby's suspicion. Inside the cafe, Ruby Raymond watched the curbside ritual through slanted blinds. Each exchange twisted like a thorn in her side. One day you'll run out of wings for that halo, she muttered while restocking stir sticks. Leo the baker whispered, At least her wings feed folks. Ruby snapped, and cost us inventory. She pulled out her phone, zoomed in, and clicked. The shutter sounded like a mosquito, small, insistent, impossible to ignore. Photo after photo captured Vera handing over bags, Bennett's grateful half-smile, the timestamp glowing 2201, 2214, 2207. The evidence folder. Ruby labeled a folder on her phone, Policy 17.4B violations. The regulation itself hung in the staff room. No redistribution of unsold goods without managerial approval. Under it, Mr. Edwards had scrawled, "Costs become losses." Ruby rehearsed in her head, "I'm only thinking of the company, sir." The phrase tasted as sweet as any pastry. Confrontation in the office. The third Thursday of the month, Ruby knocked on Mr. Edwards's glass office door. "Enter," he barked, eyes on spreadsheets. She slid her phone across his desk and tapped a photo. "I thought you want to see ongoing wastage." Edwards straightened. "Explain." "Vera's been giving away stock to that vagrant every night. Cakes, pastries, you name it." Edwards swiped through images, each one tightening his jaw. "How long?" "Going on 3 weeks." Ruby folded her hands. "Sir, the policy is clear. I respect regulations and your bottom line." Edwards's gaze lingered on the last picture of Vera smiling beneath a street lamp. "Thank you for your diligence, Miss Raymond. Leave this with me." The summons. Next afternoon, during lull hour, Mr. Edwards called, "Vera Michael, step into my office." Vera wiped her hands, nerves fluttering. Inside, she found him flanked by Mrs. Martin from corporate HR, tablet in hand, expression neutral. Edwards shut the door. "We'll be brief. We have documented breaches of company policy 17.4B. Vera's eyebrows knitted. "I don't understand." Mrs. Martin tapped the screen. Images appeared. "These photos show you passing cafe goods to a non-paying individual on 7 occasions. "Oh," Vera clasped her palms. "Yes, I did. The food would have been thrown out. He was hungry." Edwards leaned forward. "Intentions aside, you redistributed property without authorization. That exposes us to health liability claims and revenue loss." Vera's voice wavered but held. "Sir, I'll cover any cost." "Cost is not just Naira," he replied. "It's precedent." Mrs. Martin unfolded a printed form. "Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. You will receive final wages minus inventory deductions." The word struck like cold water. Vera inhaled. "Terminated today?" "I'm afraid so," Mrs. Martin said. "Please turn in your apron and name tag. You may collect personal items under supervision." Ruby's reward. As Vera emerged, eyes bright with unshed tears, staff whispers filled the air. Ruby stood near the register, chin high. Mr. Edwards announced, "In recognition of vigilance and adherence to policy, Ruby Raymond is promoted to assistant supervisor effective next week." A few co-workers clapped politely. Leo wiped dough from his fingers, uncertain. Ruby accepted the handshaking tour, lips curved in a triumphant crescent. Vera simply unpinned her tag and placed it on the counter. Ruby's gaze swept over Vera's empty hands. "Light packer, aren't you?" she said, half smirk. Vera met her eyes. "I only carry what I'm proud of." Final shift. Vera changed out of her apron in the locker room. The everyday jumble of chatter felt distant, muffled. She looked at her reflection. Same uniform, same tired eyelids, yet everything had shifted. Leo stepped in, flour on his forearms. "Heard the news." "I'm sorry." Vera smiled faintly. No regret in feeding someone Leo. Still feels wrong. "Maybe things need to feel wrong before they're put right," she said, slipping on her coat. Across the street, dusk smeared gold over the avenue. Bennett waited, back against a lamppost. When he saw Vera's red eyes, he straightened. "No bag today?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "No job today." Bennett's brow furrowed. "Because of me?" "Because kindness costs," she said, trying for lightness and failing. He looked at the cafe, then at her. "Then allow me to repay the debt." "It isn't a debt," she insisted. "Food was heading for the trash. You gave it purpose." Bennett exhaled. "Purpose should never get someone punished." She managed a small laugh. "Tell that to policy books." A bus roared past, splashing gutter water. Bennett stepped closer so it wouldn't reach her shoes. "Where will you go?" "I'll figure it out," she said. "Nursing school won't wait forever." He reached into his coat, produced a square of stiff paper, a different card, crisp and new. He pressed it into her palm. "What's this?" "Another door," he said, eyes earnest. "Knock when ready." She looked at the embossed logo, BC Holdings. Before she could ask, Bennett tipped an invisible hat. "Good night, Miss Vera." He melted into pedestrian flow, leaving her alone in swirling streetlight. Vera closed her fingers around the card, pulse suddenly loud. Behind a cafe window, Ruby watched the exchange, new supervisor badge already pinned. Yet for all the bright brass on her chest, something inside her dimmed, a feeling she couldn't name. Vera tucked the card safely into her coat and walked toward the evening horizon, heart heavy but steady, unaware that every step was carrying her closer to a truth bigger than cake, policy, or even her own quiet dreams. Vera sat on the edge of her sagging mattress, eviction letter trembling in her hands. Landlord, knocking on the open doorway, 2 weeks, Miss Michael. "I like you, but I run a business." Vera forced a nod. "I understand, sir. I'll find a way." When he left, the single-room apartment felt suddenly smaller. She checked her bank app. Barely enough for groceries, let alone rent. Still, she breathed in and whispered, "Keep moving." High streets, low hopes. Each morning Vera rose early, pressed her only blazer, and walked the city with a folder of resumes. She smiled at receptionists, filled forms in cramped lobbies, thanked every security guard on the way out. By noon her feet ached, by evening her hope did. At Daily Bean Cafe and Diner, Ruby now wore a shiny assistant supervisor badge. She barked orders, then boasted near the pastry case. "Ruby, to a new hire, see that? Hard work and loyalty get you promoted. Kindness." She snapped her fingers. "Doesn't pay bills." Leo, rolling dough, muttered, "Maybe bills aren't the only debt we owe." Ruby smirked. "Spare me the fortune cookie wisdom." A glimmer at Xenix Global. On Friday, Vera's email pinged. Interview invitation, Xenix Global. Heart racing. She borrowed fare and ironed her blazer again. Marble floors and glass walls greeted her on the 22nd story. HR assistant Miss Duru shook her hand. "Miss Duru, your cafe experience shows excellent customer service." Vera, "People just need to be treated well." Miss Duru smiled but flipped to the next page. "I see no university degree." Vera's chest tightened. "I plan nursing school. I'm still saving." "I'm sorry," Miss Duru said, tone practiced. "Our entry roles require at least a diploma." Vera swallowed. "Thank you for considering me." Miss Duru offered a polite, closing smile. "All the best, Miss Michael." The collision. Eyes stinging, Vera stepped into the gleaming corridor. Her reflection in the glass looked faded beside executives in tailored suits. She hurried toward the lift, head down, and collided with someone stepping out. Voice calm and familiar. "Easy there." She looked up. Into Bennett's face, clean-shaven, framed by a charcoal suit and silk tie. His once tattered shoes were now polished leather. "Vera, breathless, Mr. Clark." A subtle smile curved his lips. "Bennett is fine." He assessed her tear-rimmed eyes. "Are you all right?" She searched for words. "I just finished an interview." "Xenix?" he asked, glancing at the logo on a lobby sign. She nodded. "Didn't go well." His eyebrows lifted with gentle concern. "Walk with me a moment." Still shocked, Vera followed him toward a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The wind tugged at her blazer. Skyscrapers glittered like tall promises. "Bennett, you once gave me cake when I had nothing. Now it seems life has given me a chance to return the flavor." Vera's voice shook. "I don't need charity, just an opportunity." "Exactly what I had in mind," he said. A chime sounded behind them, the lift doors closing. Cars buzzed far below, but on that balcony time felt suddenly, wonderfully uncertain. Vera felt a rush of wind, partly from the height of the balcony, partly from the shock coursing through her veins. The man who had once worn threadbare shoes now stood before her in a custom-tailored suit that probably cost more than her yearly rent. Bennett, voice warm, Yet amazed Vera. Vera gasped. Bennett, you look different. I almost walked past you. He chuckled softly, hands sliding into his pockets. That was the point, I suppose. My real name is Bennett Clark, founder and managing director of Xenix Global. Vera's mouth fell open. For a second, she forgot the pain in her feet and the rejection that had stung her only minutes earlier. Founder? I thought you were homeless. His smile was kind, not mocking. I was undercover for a documentary project on kindness in modern cities. I want to know if people still cared when there was no reward in sight. He tapped a finger over his heart, made the experiment worth it. You passed with flying colors. She blinked hard, tears beginning to gather. I got fired for helping you. They said I stole company goods. The memory of Mr. Edwards's stern expression flickered in her mind, followed by Ruby's triumphant smirk. A dull ache settled in her chest. Bennett's expression softened. And now you're about to be hired for the very same reason. He pulled out a sleek phone, dialed, and waited. Mrs. Martin? Yes, it's Bennett. I'm with a candidate you need to onboard immediately. He turned the call to speaker. Mrs. Martin's composed voice echoed. Certainly, sir. Name and position. Name, Vera Michael. Position, executive assistant to the MD. He winked at Vera. Starting salary, triple our entry-level offer. There was a stunned pause on the line. Triple, sir. Triple, he confirmed. And full scholarship benefits if she chooses to study in the evenings. Vera pressed a palm to her mouth. I don't know what to say. Bennett covered the phone's microphone. Say you'll accept. She nodded, tears slipping free. Yes, I accept. He uncovered the mic. You heard that, Mrs. Martin. Email her contract today. I'll countersign. Understood, sir. Welcome to Xenix Global, Miss Michael. The call ended. A moment to breathe. They stood in silence, the city skyline stretching like a glittering ribbon around them. Traffic hummed far below, the sounds almost gentle from this height. Vera, voice trembling with relief and disbelief, all I did was give you cake. All you did, he repeated softly, was treat me as a human when everyone else treated me like an obstacle. Kindness is never all. It changes everything. She laughed through her tears. I can't believe this. My landlord is about to throw me out, and now. Send a new contract to him, Bennett said. Or better yet, consider moving to a place that values you. She shook her head, half-dazed. I still need to pinch myself. He extended his arm. Let me show you the office properly. Your office. Entering the boardroom. Inside the executive floor, glass walls gleamed and carpets muffled every footstep. Staff glanced up, recognizing their CEO. When they saw Vera beside him, eyebrows rose. No one asked questions. No one dared. Bennett stopped before a mahogany door with frosted lettering. Managing Director. Beneath those words, a fresh, temporary sign had already been taped in neat handwriting. An executive assistant. Bennett, we'll get a proper plaque made next week. Vera's fingers brushed the makeshift label. Someone is fast. Efficiency is our culture, he teased. He opened the door. Sunlight poured across a large desk, 2 chairs, and a tasteful arrangement of flowers. Sit. She obeyed gingerly, fearing she might wake up. First task, he said, is simple. Tell me what you need to succeed, besides a fair salary. Vera inhaled. I want to finish my nursing diploma at night. And I'd like a program to donate excess company food to shelters legally. Bennett's eyes lit with approval. Consider it done. HR returns. Minutes later, Mrs. Martin herself arrived, carrying a slim folder. She offered Vera a polite smile. Miss Michael, these are the onboarding forms. We've already scheduled your orientation for Monday. Vera signed where instructed, her handwriting shaky but determined. Mrs. Martin set a silver badge on the table. Xenix Global Staff, Exec. ASSD, in bold letters. Bennett spoke. Mrs. Martin, ensure payroll processes the special rate and add tuition reimbursement under her benefits. Yes, sir. She departed, efficient as ever. Processing the miracle. As soon as the door closed, Vera released a long breath. This is life-changing. Bennett leaned back. Do you know what else is life-changing? Seeing kindness in the wild. It reminded me why I built this company. To solve problems, not just gather profits. She studied him. Why go undercover yourself? You could have sent researchers. Because empathy rusts when you stay in a marble tower too long, he answered. I needed to feel the ground again. Vera looked down at her scuffed shoes. I still can't wrap my head around it. Yesterday, I was budgeting noodles. Today, I'm in a penthouse. He grinned. Life swings. Just hold on. A quick call home. Vera pulled out her aging phone and dialed her landlord. Sir, about the rent. She read the salary figure Bennett had scribbled on a sticky note. The landlord coughed in surprise and extended her grace period without hesitation. She hung up and faced Bennett with shining eyes. I'm safe. Thank you. He shook his head. You earned this long before today. The elevator down. Later, Bennett escorted her to the elevator bank. Weekend's yours, he said. Buy something nice for your first day. And he produced a sleek black card. Coffee on me. Forever. Present this at any Daily Bean branch. They're our subsidiary. Vera laughed. I'm not sure they want to see me again. Let them watch you walk in with confidence, he said, eyes twinkling. Some lessons are best served cold. The elevator arrived. She stepped inside, badge in hand. As the doors closed, she mouthed, Thank you. Bennett raised 2 fingers in a gentle salute. See you Monday, executive assistant. On the street again. When Vera stepped onto the pavement, the world looked brighter. Even the potholes seemed manageable. She checked her watch. Sunset painted the sky peach and gold. The same street where she had once shared pastries now carried her forward with a new stride. Passing a digital billboard, she noticed an advert for Xenix's upcoming documentary, The Kindness Project, Testing Humanity. A blurry teaser frame showed a familiar hooded man entering a cafe. Her breath caught. This was real, and soon the world would see. Vera clutched her new badge. For the first time in weeks, her shoulders felt light. Kindness, she realized, sometimes costs. But often, when least expected, it pays back with interest no calculator can measure. Saturday morning, trouble brews. The bell above Daily Bean Cafe and diner jingled like always, but the mood inside was tense. Mr. Edwards stood beside the register, lips pressed so tight they almost disappeared. A stack of printed sales reports shook in his hand. Mr. Edwards, voice low, to Ruby. Yesterday's closing cash is 85,000 naira short. The same thing happened twice last week. Explain. Ruby tapped her new assistant supervisor badge, hoping it still carried weight. Maybe the till miscounted. Machines glitch. Edwards narrowed his eyes. Machines don't sign false refunds. He pointed to a receipt where the customer's signature was just a wobbly line. I've called the police. Sit tight. Ruby's confident smile cracked. Detective Stone arrives. By noon, Detective Liam Stone, tall, calm, and wearing a rumpled gray suit, stepped through the doors. He flashed his badge to waiting customers. Stone, nobody panic. Routine investigation. He asked the staff to stay in the break room, then set up a laptop near the CCTV monitor. Mr. Edwards provided piles of receipts. Ruby paced in circles, chewing her lip. Ruby, whispering to Leo the baker. They'll find nothing. I follow policy to the letter. Leo wiped flour from his palms, but said nothing. The footage tells all. Detective Stone pressed play. Grainy video appeared. Ruby behind the register, printing a refund slip, sliding cash into a side pouch of her apron, then deleting the transaction. She looked around, smiled, and closed the till. Stone fast-forwarded. The same maneuver happened on 3 other nights. He paused the video, turned the screen so Mr. Edwards could see. Receipt manipulation. Straightforward theft. Edwards exhaled like a punch balloon. That's our missing money. Stone walked to the break room doorway. Ruby Raymond, you're under arrest for embezzlement and falsifying business records. The cafe floor arrest. Customers gaped as Ruby was led out in handcuffs. Phone cameras flashed. Ruby, voice shaking. This can't be happening. I only took what the company owed me. Detective Stone, tell it to the judge. Outside, patrol lights painted Ruby's shocked face blue and red. News bloggers hooped. The cafe sat on a busy street. Someone always had a live stream ready. The headline that blew up. Within hours, social media exploded. Waitress who helped homeless man now works for billionaire. Her betrayer? Behind bars. Clips of Ruby's arrest looped beside earlier footage of Vera handing cake to a homeless stranger. Hashtags trended across Lagos, Nairobi, and Johannesburg. Hashtag kindness wins. Hashtag cake that changed everything. Hashtag Ruby red-handed. Vera learns the news. Up on the 22nd floor of Xenix Global, Vera's phone buzzed nonstop. She glanced at the first headline and froze. Vera, to Bennett wide-eyed. Ruby's been arrested. They say she stole money from a cafe. Bennett Clark, today in a Navy suit, paused mid-email. Actions meet consequences, Vera. Are you all right? She sat, stunned. I'm sad for her. But people keep tagging my name. I'm suddenly a story. The media storm. 20 minutes later, Vera's desk line rang. Channel 9 Sunrise show requested an on-air interview. Global Daily, Pulse NG, even a popular U.S. podcast sent emails titled, From Fired to Fortune. Tell us. Bennett, smiling. You could decline if it overwhelms you. Vera shook her head. If my experience inspires even one person to be kind, it's worth it. He nodded. We'll have PR sit with you. The first interview, Simple Truths. The next morning, Vera sat under studio lights. Host leaning forward. You lost your job for giving away a slice of cake. Did you ever imagine kindness would lead here? Vera softly. I didn't plan a reward. I just saw someone hungry. Host showed a clip of Bennett, once in ragged coat, now greeting guests at Xenix headquarters. Host, what did you feel discovering his true identity? Vera laughed, mostly shock, and gratitude that he valued compassion more than rules. The announcement, a charity is born. That afternoon, Bennett called a press conference in Xenix's atrium. Reporters gathered beneath a banner draped in teal and gold. Bennett stepped to the podium. Vera stood beside him. Bennett, good people of our city, the world is hungry, not just for bread, but for dignity. Today we launched the Vera Foundation, feeding hope with kindness. Its first goal, deliver 10,000 meals monthly to shelters and low-income schools, funded by Xenix Global and generous partners. Flashbulbs burst. Bennett turned to Vera. Miss Michael will serve as patron and community director. Vera swallowed emotion, then addressed the crowd. Vera, kindness can feel small, a slice of cake, a smile, but it plants seeds that grow beyond what we see. If you have something spare, share it. If you have a platform, raise others up. Thank you for believing a simple waitress could make a difference. Thunderous applause echoed off marble walls. Back at Daily Bean, a quiet visit. A week later, Vera entered the cafe she once swept. Leo wiped tears when he saw her. Leo, look at you. Magazine cover material. Vera laughed. Same me. Just cleaner shoes. Mr. Edwards hurried over, face flushed. Miss Michael, please accept my apology. I misjudged you. She nodded graciously. Thank you. How's business? Better, he said. Customers come to take photos at the kindness table. Vera glanced at corner table 4, now polished, a small plaque reading. In this seat, a slice of red velvet changed a life. She traced the plaque, then turned to Leo. We'll arrange the foundation's first donation pickup here. Nothing wasted again. Leo grinned. Music to my baker heart. Ruby's reflection. In a holding cell, Ruby sat on a narrow bench, orange jumpsuit replacing her stylish blouse. A small television mounted near the ceiling replayed Vera's speech. She covered her face, tears of regret slipping through her fingers. Ruby, whispering to herself, kindness doesn't pay bills, huh? Looks like it pays back more than I ever took. Viral momentum. Online, artists sketched Vera handing cake against a sky of hopeful slogans. Universities invited her to speak on ethics. A children's author penned Vera's Velvet Cake, proceeds to the new foundation. Donations flooded in overnight. Targets tripled in a day. A sunset promise. One evening, Bennett and Vera visited a shelter where the foundation's first hot meal truck had just emptied its trays. Children waved, faces sticky with stew. Bennett watched Vera kneel, to tie a little girl's shoelace. "You realize," he said, "this is only Act 1 of the Foundation story." Vera rose, brushing dust from her skirt. The orange of sunset reflected in her eyes. "Then we'd better write the next acts with even bigger servings of hope." They walked back toward the truck, side by side. Two people proof that a single sweet gesture can tip the first domino, sending kindness rolling across a city, a continent, and perhaps the world.